Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We begin part 3 by listening to John as he reads Revelation chapter 13, verse 7.
Verse 7. It was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation.
Dave, let's begin with your interpretation of Revelation chapter 13, 7.
The beast's war against the saints signifies a period of intense persecution and tribulation for believers. The beast's ability to overcome the saints does not imply a loss of their faith, but rather their physical suffering and martyrdom.
Very interesting, Dave. Thank you. Aaron, would you like to tackle the next phrase? Authority over all nations?
I would love to emphasize, Bill. The beast's authority over every tribe, tongue, and nation indicates global dominion. This universal authority reflects the beast's widespread influence and the world's submission to its power.
Adam, the last phrase in this verse that we will look at is persecution of Christians. Would you give us your opinion of what this verse is telling us?
Yes, Bill, the persecution of Christians. The last phrase of verse 7 speaks of war. Once again, I will take a broader view. The beast's war with the saints represents the historical persecution of Christians by various oppressive regimes. Notice the immense number of believers who have suffered and died for their faith throughout history.
War against the saints and overcome them, highlighting the extent of its power and influence over the world. Here are two references to give you a better idea of what is happening in this verse. First, Daniel chapter 7, verse 21. This verse describes a horn making war against the saints and prevailing against them, paralleling the beast's action in Revelation 13:7. Second, Revelation 11:7. This verse speaks of the beast that ascends from the bottomless pit, making war against two witnesses and overcoming them, similar to the beast's war against the saints in Revelation 13:7. Follow along now as John reads chapter 13, verses 8 through 9.
Revelation 13:8-9. All who dwell on the earth will worship him, whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. If anyone has an ear, let him hear.
Bill, can I kick it off? If so, I will take the first phrase of verse 8, worship of the beast. All who dwell on the earth will worship the beast, except those whose names are written in the book of life. This highlights the beast's widespread influence and the deception that leads many to idolatry.
Bill, I would like to remind everyone on the meaning of the phrase Book of Life. For those who may not know, the Book of Life contains the names of those who belong to Christ, the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. This book signifies God's eternal plan of salvation and the security of the believers.
I have a comment on the last phrase and the importance of this appeal. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. This phrase calls us to pay attention to the serious and solemn nature of the message, and underscores the need for discernment and vigilance among believers.
Additionally, clarification on the word here is translated from the Greek word ous, a neutered noun meaning, metaphorically, of the faculty of perceiving with the mind, understanding, and knowing. Revelation 13, 8 through 9 emphasizes the beast's global influence and the distinction between those who follow the beast and those who are faithful to God. And I would like to give two references relating to this verse. The first reference is Daniel chapter 7, verse 21, in which the names of the righteous are written. We believe this book is the book of life of Revelation 13:8. The second reference is Revelation chapter 3, verse 5. This verse mentions the book of life and the promise that those who overcome will not have their names blotted out from it. reinforcing the security of the believers.
Revelation 13:9-10, verse 9. He who leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 10 emphasizes the principle of divine judgment and retribution. This verse serves as a reminder that those who engage in oppression and violence will ultimately face the consequences of their actions. Dave, could you comment on God's divine justice?
Thanks, Bill. I would be glad to. This verse underscores the certainty of God's justice. Those who lead others into captivity or kill with the sword will themselves face similar fates. This principle of retribution is a recurring theme in Scripture, emphasizing that God will ultimately judge and punish evildoers. I believe Aaron has something to say regarding retribution.
Thanks, Dave. I enjoyed your view on God's justice. Verse 10 highlights and reflects the broader biblical principle of reaping what one sows. The oppressive powers persecuting the saints will be subject to God's judgment and retribution. Adam Clark will follow me with his comments on verse 10.
Thanks for the introduction, Aaron. I will focus on patience and faith. This verse encourages the saints to remain patient and faithful when facing persecution. The assurance of divine justice provides hope and strength to believers who know God will vindicate them.
I would like to point out that while verse 9 reminds us of the importance of listening carefully, such as, if anyone has ears to hear, let him hear. This sentence, of course, was spoken by Jesus the Christ and recorded in Matthew 11, verse 15, Mark 4, verse 23, and Luke 8, verse 8. Verse 10 speaks of God's retribution against those who would persecute his people. I offer two additional verses demonstrating the harmony of Scripture. Jeremiah 15:2. This verse speaks of those destined for captivity, going into captivity, and those destined for the sword, being killed by the sword, paralleling the theme of divine retribution in Revelation 13:10. The next is Matthew 26, verse 52. Jesus' statement, "For all who have taken the sword will perish by the sword." This echoes the principle of retribution found in Revelation chapter 13, verse 10. At this point, I'm going to conclude this film clip on Revelation chapter 13, verses 7 through 10. Next week, we are in hopes of covering the remainder of chapter 13. Join us at Fellowship Bible Church, Middleburg, Florida, in person, 9:30 a.m. Sunday mornings. Hope to see you. Until then, God bless.